Hello, world. Welcome to Harness Money. I am Colin. I think Elon Musk is wrong about remote work. There are problems with working remotely, but I think it is a better solution than having everybody come back into the office the way it was 10 years ago. I think trying to have everybody come into the office again is just a mistake. It's a mistake from a business perspective, it's a mistake from a culture perspective. Now, there are a lot of jobs that just cannot be outsourced to people working from home. I get it that Tesla and SpaceX may have factories where people have to come in and actually do work and be there for a shift. Same with Amazon, same with Walmart, all these companies. There are going to be jobs where you have to go into the office. But I don't think that every single job needs to be in the office 24/7. I have a lot of problems with what he said about remote work. I've been doing remote work for quite a while now, and I think it's a better alternative than going into the office. Now, one of the things that he made mention of was pretend to work somewhere else. Basically, the idea that if you are working from home and you don't want to come into the office 5 days a week and spend more than 40 hours working at your office all day long, that you're just pretending to work, that maybe you're taking advantage of the system from working from home, and that maybe you're working 50% of the time at home, but then there's this other part of the time that you're working from home when you're not really working and you're just pretending to work, trying to take advantage of a company, trying to take advantage of the fact that you don't have your boss hovering over you, actually physically watching all of the work that you're doing. And I just don't think that is a fair assumption. I've never had a job where I worked from home and I just slacked off. Maybe there are people that are doing that. Maybe there are a portion of people working for companies that are just pretending to work from home and aren't really doing 100% of the work. But I think that's a minority. I think that's a small minority. I think if you were something like an automotive engineer, an aerospace engineer, an accountant, if you're some type of professional worker, employee, then you're going to have to actually do work in order to get paid. That there are deliverables that you are going to have to complete in order to continue working at your job, continue doing a good job for your company, especially if you want to get a raise, if you want to get promoted, if you just want to really contribute to your company. You're going to have to do work. I think most employees are trying hard to do a good job, and that they want to be a part of these companies. They want to do a good job, feel good about what they're doing, and then actually get paid for what they are doing. So I don't think most employees are just, slacking off, pretending to work. And I think even if you are, you're going to get caught pretty soon. Most bosses, most supervisors are watching what their employees are doing. They're there watching their employees. Even if they're virtual, they're still checking in, they're still going over the work that's being done, and they still have to hit deliverables just like everybody else. So I think it would be kind of hard to pretend to work in an office. So I don't know how much that is actually happening. Now, the other thing is just practicality. I think the practicality of working in an office 24/7 has just gone away. That people are actually more productive when they are working from home because you don't have all the distractions that an office can bring. There's a lot of distractions that can happen in an office. For instance, going and taking breaks, going into like the kitchen to eat food, just stop and chit-chatting with other employees. I think it's a plus and a minus, the chit-chatting with other employees. I understand the mindset that you want to create a positive culture, you want to get to know your other employees, you want to have these spontaneous interactions that lead to brainstorming or maybe some creative ideas. I can understand that, but in my experience, that didn't happen as much as that people would come over to chat with you and would maybe be a distraction. That you'd have the difference between the introverts and the extroverts. You have people that want to come into an office that are extroverts, and they get that energy from talking to other people. And that's not a bad thing, but sometimes I felt like that can really be a distraction. Like you can have people that want to talk just to talk, that they are feeding off of that interpersonal interaction. And you're having these long conversations that don't actually lead to getting any work done. And then you have to have these chit chats, have these conversations with people, and then the work doesn't get done. So you just have to spend more time at the office getting more work done. It's just prolonging your workday versus when you're at home or when you're in a remote environment, you're more focused on the work. You're more focused on being intentional about what meetings you have, what conversations you have, and then what work needs to get done. It's not about having these long, drawn out conversations with other people that don't necessarily lead to completing any deliverables. So, I just found that working in an office oftentimes creates good distractions, but also bad distractions that are eliminated via working remotely. And, you know, I think I'm just going to say this, but I think um, that work, that what Elon said in an email would not have been said by a woman. Maybe that's me being sexist. Maybe that's just me thinking about the gender roles, but I think that I'm just going to say it. A woman would not have made those comments because women have to juggle a lot in their lives. They have family, they have friends, they have to get ready in order to go into an office more than a man does. I feel like a man could just put on a suit or just put on nice clothes and not have to put in as much work as it is for a woman. The woman tax of putting on makeup, looking good, spending a lot of time getting ready in order to go into the office 5 days a week. And then I also question, you know, Elon does have a lot of children. When I say a lot, he doesn't have 10, but he's got more than two or three. And I question, you know, who's taking care of these children? Does he bring them all into his office and just, does everybody live in the Tesla factory, him and all of his children? Or is he just outsourcing the raising of children to other people so that he can spend most of his time at the Tesla office? I don't think that's going to work for most people. Most people do not have the resources that Elon does to outsource the raising of your children or your family to other people in order so that you can spend all of your time at the office. Most people in society, they really need a balance. They need a balance of working for a company and then spending time with their family, imparting the values that they hold dear to their children, teaching their children the lessons that they need to learn in order to become productive citizens in society. So I really question, I think it's better for women, mothers and fathers, to be more at home with children, raising children and imparting just wisdom and just spending quality time with their family rather than spending 50, 60, 70 plus hours at the office, giving your entire life over to these companies. And the other thing I really must say is that most employees do not have equity in the companies that they are working for. So the fact that they are getting a paycheck, which is a great thing, but spending 70 hours a week for the rest of your life working for a company where you don't have any ownership is not the best scenario in my mind. So, I think that there's a lot more balance that can be made between working and being home with the family. And going back to having everybody in the office all day long is just not the greatest solution. The other piece of the puzzle is the global workforce. Tesla is becoming a global powerhouse. They are operating in China, they're operating in California, Texas, and Germany is where they all have manufacturing. So they're really in different time zones. So to say to a workforce, hey, you have to come into this office 5 days a week or you can't work here, you're really limiting your talent pool, especially if you work, as far as I know that Tesla was in Los Angeles and or let's say Silicon Valley. There's a lot of companies that are in Silicon Valley, and there's a lot of competition for those employees. So to say you must live in Silicon Valley to work for this company, otherwise you can't work here, is really limiting your talent pool versus having a global workforce saying you can work anywhere as long as you can do X, Y, and Z. Then you're opening up your ability to hire different talent to the entire world versus just focused on, your one little area. So I also think there's a lot of cost savings that come with cutting the commercial real estate. Commercial real estate is expensive. Having a office is expensive, and then having to renovate because your office will need to be changed over time. What worked 10 years ago or even 15 years ago is really not working anymore. All of these companies are going more toward this like open floor plan, which I think has its own problems, but they're going towards it no matter what. So to own a building or even lease a building, and then you have to pay utilities, you have to pay rent, you have to pay the cleaning service, you have to pay for renovations over time, you have to pay taxes on all of that. It really is expensive, and it's not really necessary. You could get away with having a lot less commercial infrastructure and maybe even just renting out space when you need it versus having to own all of this space and then pay for all of that. And then if you have offices around the country and around the world, having to manage all of that space, it gets really expensive. I think you can do away with that and save a lot more money. So I think that remote work is here to stay. It's not going anywhere, and that these companies need to find a balance. Yes, I think there is a place for going into an office and interacting with employees, but then I think it's really going to come down to a balance. Doing it maybe half time, maybe doing it a few days a week rather than doing it 5 days a week. I hope we don't go back to the days where everybody's in the office, but you're sitting on Zoom calls when you're in the office. I hope those days are behind us and that we can get to a flexible work schedule that works for everybody rather than just works for the company. A schedule that works for employees and that also works for companies. There is a middle ground that can be found, and that can be worked. So I think Elon is wrong on this particular issue, but he's been right on so many other things. This isn't to take away from what Elon has created or the companies, the businesses that he's involved with: Tesla, SpaceX, the Boring Company, all these different businesses. He's created so much value. You can't deny that. The products, the services, the jobs that have been created by these businesses, we have to take him seriously because he has created so much value in the marketplace to customers, to employees. But I don't think he's right on every issue. So thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you come back and watch so much more. Remember, make good money choices. Till next time.